Piece chapter 1047. Is Luffy literally about to punch through an island? Like, you got like all this stuff, but like, oh, there's city block level, there's island level, country level. Wano is a really, really big country, and so is the Skull Island that they're on. Luffy is wilding right now. That's the only thing I can think of to describe this. This man's wilding. We see more of those toon powers at work where Luffy's like doing hula hoop circles around like the lightning bolts, and he's got the birds that are dancing around his head. Like, we got a lot of like the funny stuff. However, we also got some serious stuff in this chapter. Like, in particular, how Momo has a bar that's dropped on him that, like, when I read that, when Kinemon is telling him like, hey, you know, when a woman works up all her courage to give a man a request and you can't actually see it through when it's a dire situation, you as a man have only done anything to deserve her shame. That was an absolute bar. That was so nice right there. Like, that goes on so many different levels. And also that line where he tells Momo like, hey, right now you don't have the luxury of being a child anymore. Oden is dead. You got to man up. And it's one of those things that, like, I know for me, I had to grow up early because I was the only man in my house. So it's one of those things where I totally related to that. That hit me very, very hard when I saw that, because Momo basically had to have his balls drop. And that moment for his balls to drop is right now. So the chapter opens up where you have Yamato and she's giving Momo the encouragement that he needs. And she's like, hey, make those flame clouds. And when Momo's saying, I can't do it, it's too hard, they're not appearing, you see him thinking back to the request that his mother made. And she says that like, hey, 20 years from now, I need you to rebuild our clan with your strength. Momo's crying. You have Kinemon telling him like, hey, this is going to bring nothing but shame to her. Honor that request. You stopped the liberty of being able to be a child a long time ago. Now that Oden has passed on, you're not a child anymore. And honestly, allow us to actually die like samurai. And that's going to be a theme that we see repeated more than once throughout this chapter. And Kinemon says, allow us a chance to fight again. If we're only going to die by the flames, allow us to do so with our blades in hand, fighting for what we believe in, fighting for your family line, fighting to protect the will and the honor of our Lord Oden. And Momo gets touched by this, and you see him crying those ugly tears. And you have this moment where Momo's like, I'm failing my mother, I can't do this. You see Luffy throwing the lightning bolt at Kaido. Kaido gets out of the way. Kaido ends up smacking Luffy with this huge club. Luffy ends up grabbing hold of a piece of lightning, circling around it like he's the hula hoop for the lightning bolt itself, and hurling it over at Kaido. And Kaido just bashes Luffy in the face, and he says like, hey, devil fruits and those abilities alone, they won't work. Roger had no devil fruit powers, which that just makes Roger and Garp that much of a beast that they went up against the Rocks pirates and they had no devil fruits. And this dude became the king of the pirates. Like, Roger is broken, by extension, so is Garp, because we see how strong Kaido is right now. Obviously, he got stronger since that time there, but it's one of those things where if he would have surpassed Roger at any point, that would have been stated. So that just shows you, like, Prime, Garp, and even Roger, they're just built on a different level. And you have this moment where Kaido says that only Haki can actually transcend above all, and he hits Luffy with another huge attack that starts sending all these birds that are flying around Luffy's head. And you have Luffy grab onto Kaido, and Kaido's like, you idiot, that just lets me know where you are. You have a rubber devil fruit, so I'm sure that getting cut's still going to affect you in the way that it does. And we see how everything jumps over to the people down there in Wano, and they're talking about how, you know, for right now we get to celebrate, but in the morning we're still going to be slaves. And it goes back to something that Hiyori said a few chapters ago, which is that a new dawn is coming for Wano right now. And when these people wake up tomorrow, it's going to be one of those times where they're not going to be slaves anymore. So it's very beautiful just to see how the people, they're kind of taking joy where they can. And Luffy, by using Gear 5, by using the Nika fruit, it's one of those things where Luffy is going to ultimately bring smiles to the people of Wano by using this power to bring them out of this darkness. And I like that right there. That is very beautiful. And you have the samurai talking and they get a question posed to them like, hey, what if Luffy defeats Kaido, but we all fall to our death? But what if we survive and it means Kaido wins and we're all slaves, or our families are slaves and we're all killed? It's one of those things where the samurai are like, well, if it means that my children, if it means my family can live a peaceful life, I'm all fine with that. And the beast pirates that hear this, like, dude, what are you talking about? I ain't trying to die no kind of way. And you jump around and you start seeing people like Usopp running and they're clinging to life. And you see as Usopp gets swallowed up by some of the water that's been hurled out there. And you have this moment where Hiyori's about to get attacked, and that's where we jump over and we see Momo being talked to by Luffy, and Luffy says, hey, Momo, yo, did your balls drop? I'm going to put it in all this, but you got to get this island out of the way. And that's where you have this moment where Yamato's making the surprise face, and she's like, oh my God, Luffy's going to punch through the island. And what I like here is that Luffy is smiling, just like you hear with the Nika fruit putting smiles on the face of people. Luffy tells Momo, I believe in you. You can do it. And I like how like the chapter opens up. And Oda's so fucking good at this. The chapter opens up with Momo not believing in himself. And at the end of the chapter itself, he has Luffy telling him, I believe in you. And you can tell that that's lighting a fire under him. Like it's one of the things I really enjoy about Oda when it comes to writing. Like the chapters themselves, they're almost like short stories. Yeah, they tend to leave off with cliffhangers and everything, so you continue to read, but like each chapter in its own way is its own small short story. And I know the knee-jerk reaction is to say like, oh, every manga does this, except not every manga does this. There are some manga where it's very clearly that this is an episodic structure. With One Piece, it's episodic, but there's so much that is funneled together, especially when we start getting towards the end of arcs where they feel like they're standalones altogether. And that's going to bring me to my chapter question here. So now that we see that Luffy is able to inspire Momo, who do you think Luffy has inspired the most in the series so far? So always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.